Ethan's newest phone is 14 years old, not because he can't afford a better one. The newest iPhone is sitting fully charged in his backpack. He just doesn't bring it everywhere anymore. On Saturday mornings, before leaving the apartment, he opens the top drawer in his kitchen. Inside are three phones: his current smartphone, an old iPhone from college with a cracked corner, and a faded blue Nokia that still somehow holds a charge for days. He reaches for the Nokia almost without thinking. His girlfriend laughs every time, asking if he's really doing the brick phone thing again, but he just shrugs and tells her it's just for the weekend. By Monday morning, he sleeps a little better, and his screen time drops by hours without trying. The tight feeling in his chest, the one he usually blames on work, is quieter than it was on Friday. His phone is slower, the camera is terrible, and typing a sentence feels like work. None of it should feel better, but somehow, it does. Most people think that's nostalgia, that Ethan misses the early 2000s, but he doesn't. If anything, he remembers how frustrating those phones actually were. So why would someone voluntarily go back? Because this story was never really about old phones. It was about what modern ones quietly started doing to us, and why one generation seems more desperate than anyone else to escape it. By the time Ethan reaches the train, his hand reaches into his pocket almost automatically. The smartphone isn't there, and for half a second, his heart jumps until he remembers the Nokia. He smiles to himself. It happens every Saturday. He slips the little blue phone back into his jacket pocket and, without thinking, adjusts the strap of his backpack twice before stepping onto the platform. A habit nobody notices, not even Ethan. When the train arrives, nobody looks up. Heads are tilted down, thumbs moving across a dozen different conversations, news alerts, videos, and emails. Someone watches half a movie between two stations, while someone else opens Instagram without realizing they'd already checked it 5 minutes earlier. Ethan catches himself reaching for a phone that can't do any of those things anymore. His thumb presses a button, nothing happens, and for a second, he actually feels uncomfortable. Not bored, but uncomfortable. That was the part that surprised him. He never switched back to the Nokia because he missed the past. He switched because somewhere along the way, silence had started to feel unfamiliar. Ethan thought this feeling belonged only to him, but psychologists had already spent years studying it. Researchers kept finding that the problem wasn't simply screen time, but telepressure. The constant expectation that you could be reached at any moment. That constant state of readiness forces your brain into tiny withdrawals of attention 100 times a day, meaning your mind never fully settles. The Nokia simply removed hundreds of tiny decisions he didn't realize he was making. On Sunday afternoon, Ethan stops at a small coffee shop a few blocks from his apartment. The woman behind the counter points toward a small QR code taped beside the register, telling him the menu is on his phone. Ethan smiles and explains he can't, pulling out the little blue Nokia. She laughs in surprise, handing him a laminated paper menu. Ordering takes maybe 20 extra seconds, but walking back outside with his coffee, Ethan realizes something strange. Almost everything in modern life has been redesigned to save time, yet saving time doesn't automatically make people feel like they have more of it. Studies suggest the more every task becomes instant, the more our brains start expecting everything to happen instantly. Waiting begins to feel like something is wrong, even when nothing is. By the time he gets home, he catches himself standing in front of his door for 30 quiet seconds, just listening. It feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, and then unexpectedly peaceful. Ethan still uses his smartphone on Monday because he has to. His banking app, train tickets, work messages, calendar, and photos are all there. He isn't trying to escape modern life. He's trying to stop modern life from following him everywhere. Experiments studying the brain drain effect showed that even when phones are completely silent and face down, their mere presence nearby quietly consumes mental capacity as a small part of the brain constantly monitors the possibility of an alert. The Nokia felt relaxing, not in itself, but because it provided the absence of constant possibility. On Sunday evening, Ethan stops by his younger sister Emma's house for dinner, where his nephew Lucas is building a Lego spaceship. Ethan drops his keys in the bowl, adjusts his backpack strap twice, and sits beside him. Lucas notices the Nokia and asks why he has two phones, where YouTube is, or if there are any games. When Ethan says there aren't any, Lucas calls it boring, but within minutes, they are quietly building together. Psychologists call the cost of constant interruptions attention residue. Every distraction leaves a tiny piece of attention behind, leaving the mind exhausted from hundreds of unfinished microtasks. Sitting there building plastic bricks for nearly an hour, Ethan hasn't checked a screen once. He doesn't feel productive. He feels present. Later that night, Ethan gets home and empties his pockets onto the kitchen counter. Wallet, keys, the little blue Nokia, and the smartphone. Almost on cue, the smartphone lights up with a work email, 2 news alerts, and 43 unread messages. Nothing urgent, just everything asking for a little piece of him. He looks at the screen, smiles, and turns it face down. Not because phones are bad, and not because the past was better, but simply because dinner is getting cold. Outside, the city keeps moving as cars pass beneath his window. Someone walks a dog, and a train disappears into the distance. Tomorrow morning, the smartphone will come back on, work will still be there, and so will the messages. But for tonight, they can wait. He places the Nokia back where the weekend began, while the smartphone stays on the kitchen counter. For the first time all weekend, it doesn't come with him. He turns off the kitchen light, the apartment falls silent, and this time, nothing interrupts it.